Welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to introduce you to a new way of making money as an artist, no matter if you're doing paintings or photography or perhaps music. As long as you offer something artistic to the world, you could use this way to make money, and you could make enough money to support yourself and perhaps also to support your family, yet having enough time for your art. Originally, I wanted to visit an art exhibition inside of an artist workshop yesterday, but it was not open, so I made my appointment this morning to come to visit them, and I was so glad I did, because as soon as I entered this studio space, I knew I was in the right space. It was so beautiful, it was so romantic, it's bright and sunny, and you could feel the spring inside. It was filled with artworks, art merchandise, crafts and books, and there were also some classes. I could see two students learning how to engrave by hand their own stamps. And I talked to artists Xiaoxi and Taiyao. They introduced me their stories and their space, and I learned so much from them, and I want to share their experiences with you. Xiaoxi and Taiyao were two artists educated in a fine art institution in Shandong, and they decided to open their artist workshop in Beijing in 2016. After a short preparation, they opened their first studio in 2017 in another space in Gulou area. After 2 years of running, they had to move because of the major demolition in this area. Before moving, they saw two kittens falling from the sky, falling from their ceiling of their old hutong house. They decided to keep them because the chances of those kittens surviving during the demolition was very slim, and they had to save their lives. So they kept them and they moved with the cats to their new space. Their new space is in an equally good area in the heart of the Hutong area between the Forbidden City and the Lama Temple, and it's quiet yet very spacious and very easy to get to, and I think it's a good balance between a bit of privacy and a bit of easy reach and cultural environment. And their space is twice larger and a lot more expensive. Their rent costs over 3,000 euros, and it's very expensive even in Beijing. But there's some upside too, because they didn't need any renovation. The space was already renovated and it was already prepared. They just had to move in with their artworks and with their equipment, and they could immediately open their studio space. Xiaoxi was educated as an art critic, and she's from the same school as Taiyao, who studied stone engraving. And Xiaoxi works mainly in the communication and promotion and customer service, and Taiyao is the technical and artistic manager of the space. Together, they do several things. Number one, they offer classes of stone engraving. They offer this class as a part of the Airbnb experience. Also, they market this on TripAdvisor as well, but Airbnb is their main platform. And later I will explain you a little bit more about Airbnb. They also sell artworks, like the art exhibition they're organizing. This art exhibition is from their friends, and they would design the art's merchandising also on behalf of their friend. They would sell also art books and also some gadgets and decorations. The third thing they do is they do the customized high-end stamps. They would design, hand engrave, and do all the things for you if you are interested in having your own stamp, but you don't want to get your hands dirty, or you're not sure that you do it right. They could also do that for you. So they do several things, and the whole thing makes their business model. Their main income is from their Airbnb experience. The location of their Airbnb experience is inside of their studio, but also they do it outside sometimes. Like this afternoon, they did it in a community cultural center, and they could have a lot more students because the space is also a little bigger and the traffic is also a little bit busier. But mainly they do it in their artist studio space because the space is their own, it's more controlled, it's more relaxed. And while the students were working on the engraving, they could have a chat with the student, offer some coffee or tea, and they play with their cats, and they could also do some other works, perhaps customized stamp works, or maybe they could talk to people like me, exhibition visitors, sell their art, merchandise, and they could do everything simultaneously. I think it's a really nice recipe. I think it's a very nice time management because you could do several things at once, optimizing your own time. Also, in the case of their students being late, they could also work on their own stuff meanwhile waiting. And they told me that a lot of times their students were late or some of them didn't show up. So it's also very good that they were not somewhere else standing there waiting just for some other people to show up. Meanwhile, they could play with their cats and they could have fun. And it's a very nice balance between a bit of relaxation, a bit of work. And they told me that back in 2017, they could already make a decent living. They could cover their costs and also have some of profits to invest in their art, invest in their communication. After moving to this new location, their business costs rise tremendously and they had to work a lot more over hours. For example, today is a May holiday and they have to do several sessions and they were booked totally throughout the day, also tomorrow. And they told me that the whole holiday, it was all packed because the families are bringing their children and the foreigners, they are visiting as well. So they have people from all ages, all backgrounds, and all could become their customers. And I see this business has a lot of potential. If you are an artist, you could learn from them, perhaps offer your art experience as a part of Airbnb experience or on TripAdvisor or your own platform, your own social media, depending on what kind of things you want to do. Really, there are endless ways to run it, but Airbnb is one of the go-to method because Airbnb is doing communication for you. You don't have to do a lot to promote this activity, this experience. Airbnb experience works like this. You just have to choose what experience you are offering, when are you offering, how long is this session will last, and how many people you admit, and explain overall what will happen during this session. As soon as you create this Airbnb experience, you could publish and people will contact you through Airbnb messages and you could accept and you could just wait for the client to come and everything is set. This way you can decide when you will work, when you rest, and when you will work on your own art. And when the other people are visiting, they could bring their friends who might not participate in this session, but they could perhaps talk to other friends and you have the traffic, the exposure, and in general, you have interesting talks to people who truly enjoy art. This way, you are adding just an extra component to your existing business model and you are not going out of your way. You don't have to physically travel to another space. You are within your, let's say, comfort of your own studio and you can make the most out of the time you have during the day. Today I have learned a lot and had a good time with Xiaoxi and Taiyao. They were so lovely and they were so welcoming. I'm going to sit down with them another time and perhaps talk about art, stone engraving, traditional Chinese culture. And if you want to know more about the Airbnb experience or how to promote your artist workshop, drop me a question below and I will discuss with several artists who run successful business who could already make a living and support their family and their lovely cats. Let me know your questions. Click like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.